Hello, good evening everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. Today we're cracking on with some more Mondeo work. We're carrying back on from where we left off the subframe. If you did watch the last video, you'll see that I cleaned up a little bit, got rid of some of the loose rust. I also went ahead and removed the majority of the subframe bushings, and then I drilled and tapped one of the broken bolts out of the subframe as well. It all went really well, very happy with the progress so far, but today we're carrying on. Today we're carrying on because I really want to get this thing finished. The main job of today is to burn out the remainder of the bushings. There was some rubber left over inside the metal sleeve, and I really want to burn that out. I managed to source a butane torch, almost like a little flamethrower thing. So I'm going to try and burn out the rest of the bushings, clean them out, clean and pressure wash the whole subframe, and then get it treated with the Butane rust treatment, and then we'll see where we are at that point. So this is the current state of the subframe. As you would have seen, I haven't moved it since the last video. Drilled and tapped out our hole for the sway bar right there. That went really well, very happy with that. I got a lot of good comments about that, so thank you very much. Cleaned up a little bit, got rid of some of the loose rust, as you can probably see by the state of my workbench. But as I said, the main plan for today is to get the remainder of this rubber. You can see all this around here. I want to burn that out, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to attempt to do that. Alright, so this right here is a gas canister, butane gas. It's got a little flamethrower thing on top, and this is what I'm going to use to burn these out, or I'm going to attempt to anyway. It's got a nice little flame on it, I'll show you that in a second. I've got 8 of these cans, which I'm hoping is going to be enough. I figured maybe 2 cans for each one. I'm not entirely sure how quick they're going to burn and how well it's going to burn, so I'm hoping that 2 for each one is going to be enough. I'll quickly just show you how they light. Just turn the gas on, and that's what you get, just like a nice blue flame. Then I'm going to go at them like that, and hopefully that'll do the job. So just turn that off. Don't want to waste it. I'm of course not going to be doing this in the shed. Rubber is not very nice to burn. I really don't actually fancy doing this. I'm going to wear my mask, which is just up there, to try and protect me a little bit, but I'm also going to stand as far away as I possibly can from it. And I'm going to hope to try not to make too much smoke either, but it's got to be done, so let's crack on. Alright, so I've done all 4 of these bushings now. Just gave them a little scrape, and as you can see, it's coming out quite well. Just sort of melted rubber. It'll soften the rubber up and make it a lot easier to remove. I can scrape it out, wire brush it out and stuff like that. Should come out fairly easily. I'm currently just waiting for the bushings to cool down. Obviously they've been heated up quite a lot by yours truly, so I'm going to let them cool down. I'm going to take it back into my shed, and then I'm going to use a drill. I'll quickly show you. The plan is to use a drill with a little wire brush attachment, like so, to like sort of go in and out of the bushings from either side and get rid of what is left. I'm hoping there's not going to be too much left in there after that, and it should be a lot softer and a lot looser, and it should come off a lot easier. Fingers crossed anyway. While I'm waiting, I might just want to show you a couple of things. I did manage to source some brand new Ford bolts. These are the ones that will replace the one that I had to drill out, do you remember? In the last video I drilled out that bolt. This is a replacement for that. Managed to find these on eBay. I think I paid £3 for both of these, so I managed to get one for each side. They are a perfect match for the old ones, so I've got them. I also bought a new tool as well. Might as well just show you this. Some people might be interested. I've always wanted one of these bench grinders. You've also got the stone on this side, so you can grind files and stuff like that, drill bits or whatever you want to grind. But I also purchased a wire wheel for this side, replaced it. This one had a grinding wheel on it as well when I first got it, but I've replaced it with a wire wheel so that with things like this, these are all the subframe bolts from Mondeo as well. See all that rust on there? That's really hard to get off with just using like a drill, because you have to sort of hold it, and it makes it really difficult. So now that I've got this, I can literally come in here, turn it on, get rid of that rust, and it spins so quickly that that'll take that straight off, and that'll clean all my bolts up. Something I always like to do when I'm working on the cars, when I take a bolt out, if it is rusty or it looks crusty and it needs like a little bit of love, I love to wire wheel them and make the threads all nice and clean, so when you put it back in, you're not fighting against the bolt, it just goes in nice and smoothly. So I figured I'd get one. I think I paid £25 for that, and the wire wheel was £10 I think, so £35 all in, but I'm very happy with it. I don't think I'm going to mount it to the bench. I'm literally just going to keep it like so, and I'll just bring it out every time I need to use it, because I'm not going to use it that often. So yeah, pretty happy with this little thing. Also, completely unrelated, I've now got a treadmill in here. I want to lose a few quarantine pounds, so I figured get myself a treadmill, stick it in my shed, and I can use it every now and again. Right, I think that's me going to be done for this evening. I've been working at these bushings for the past probably half an hour to an hour, using a wire wheel like I showed you on the end of my drill, going in and out, and it is a pain in the bum. Now that these bushings have been heated up, the rubber has turned into like goo. It's turned into a horrible, like gunky mess, and it's making it really hard to be able to get it out. If any of you have got any suggestions, if I haven't done it already by the end of the video, make sure to leave it down below. I've managed to get one of them pretty much clean. So if you can see that, let me get a light. So this one here is, for the most part, cleaned out. There's a little bit of rubber still left on that side there. But these ones, look at the state of them. There is so much rubber still left in them. But like I said, it's turned into like a tar, like a sticky, horrible tar. I don't really know how to get it out. I'm trying wire wheels and scrapers and all sorts. I really wish I didn't start this job now, I'll be honest with you. I suppose you have to learn somehow, and like I said, I've never done bushing before, never done this, so it's all a learning experience. So that took way longer than I was expecting it to. I don't know how much of I filmed it. I think the last few clips that you would have seen is when I was actually burning the bushings out. Since then, it's been probably 3 or 4 days of me tackling this thing, trying to figure out ways to get the rest of the rubber out. I managed to get the majority of it out by burning it, but there was some stubborn stuff just around the edge of the bushing that would not budge, and I couldn't think of a good way of getting it off. Having never done this job before and never really worked around rubber bushings or anything like that, my mind had to work extra hard to try and figure out a good way to get it out. I ended up actually using some lighter fluid, pouring it on, setting it alight, using a wire wheel, getting off anything that would come off, doing it again, wire wheeling again, and then setting it alight again. It was a big process. I hated it. I'm never doing polybushes ever again. If I ever say that I'm polybushing something, make sure you tell me not to do it, because it's an absolute nightmare. The melted rubber gets absolutely everywhere. It's pretty horrible and dirty job, and I will think twice next time about doing this again. But I am past the worst part now, so I'm going to show you where we're up to now and where we go from here. So the subframe is back in the shed. I've moved it back in here after all the burning and the wire wheeling. I moved it back in here. As you can probably see, this is where the bushings were. We have nice shiny metal all around the edges, and it's all clean inside. I'm very happy with that. That's what they all look like. There's another one. I've got this one. And then this one is a little bit worse for wear. You can see there's quite a bit of rust still left around that one. And there's also a little bit of rust left inside the actual bore itself. For some reason this one was really rusty compared to these ones, which weren't rusty at all. Not entirely sure why that is. I've got a little bit of filing to do around this edge. There's a little bit of a build up of rust. So I'm just going to do a bit of filing, clean that up, and then I'm going to clean this off. It's now covered in WD-40 and rubber and grease and dirt and all sorts. So I'm going to clean this off, pressure wash it off, degrease it, all that stuff, and then we'll be ready to use the Vactan on the rust treatment, that stuff there. I can paint that on, leave it for a while, get a coat of paint on it, put the bushings in, and then we can be done. I feel like this whole subframe thing has taken forever. At least it feels in my world like it's taken forever. The problem that I came across was, because I've never done this before, that means I didn't have the tools or the knowledge, but mainly the tools to do this. I didn't have a blowtorch or anything to be able to light them on fire, so I had to order one of them. It then turned out that I needed a wire wheel, but a certain size wire wheel, because it had to be really small to be able to get into the bores, so I had to order one of them. Those things take 2 or 3 days each to get here, which makes this whole process just feel extra long. But I've got the stuff for next time now, and I've also got the knowledge for next time now on how to do it properly and quicker. So it is all a bit of a learning process. Like I said, I've never done this before, so this was a first time for me. I learned a lot as I went. I know how to do it better for the next time now. I will just quickly show you the tools that I did use. This I picked up on eBay. Chaz Coombs sent me the link to this, and I picked this up. This is just butane gas. I bought 8 canisters. I've got another one there, and there's another 6 of these in the shed down the bottom, just in case I need them for the future. This one's still got plenty in it though, and it comes with this little nozzle here. You turn it on and you get a nice hot flame come out. This is going to be great as well in the future. If I ever have a rusty bolt, like the one I had here where I had to drill it out, I can actually heat it up with this. I've never been able to heat up bolts that are rusty before. I've always relied on WD-40, but now with this canister I can actually heat bolts up. That'll give me another way of tackling rust, so that's good. And also this little beauty right here, this absolute lifesaver, little wire wheel. It came with a kit that I got ages ago with lots of different shapes and sizes. This one was able to fit nicely in there, as you can see, and I was able to go around and get rid of all the loose dirt. What was nice is these little wires, they're really stiff, and so they would just completely eat away at the rubber. If you use a wire wheel where the bristles are a bit softer, like a brass brush or something, they'll bend and they just won't tackle the rubber, whereas this one was really nice and sturdy, and I was able to rip all of that excess rubber out. So this guy and this guy, they worked together and they managed to get this all out. Like I said, I just need to clean that last one up, and I'm not going to put the bushings in until the last second. So once this is all painted, then I'll put the bushings in, because otherwise I'll end up getting overspray on them and stuff. But they are just essentially just going to get pushed in like that. I've got a tin of rubber grease here, red rubber grease. I'll lube them all up, lube up inside, press them in, and then we should be good to go. I apologise, this video's taken a little while. This was supposed to be out like a week ago, but because of all the problems I've ran into, it's just taken me ages, so I apologise for that. But I'm going to do a little bit of filing on that last bushing casing, get this outside, get it cleaned up. I've been working on this for about 10 minutes and I've made some quite good progress. I think it now looks pretty much like the others. You can see all that rust is gone. There was quite a bit of build up in this. This bushing was the one that fell out the best. In fact, I think it was this one, where most of it came out with the bushing, and there was a lot of rust that came with it as well. So I think this one had partially failed. Water had got in and completely rusted it, because there were some pieces in here that for a long time have been building up rust, and I had to take them down with one of these little stone sort of attachments, drill attachments. Had to grind probably a good 2 mil of rust that had sort of built outwards, and this wouldn't have gone in very easy with that build up in there. So I had to grind all that out, and this is kind of what we're left with. It's as clean as I'm probably going to get it, at least for now. You can see there's still a couple of little remnants in there, but nothing that's going to cause us any problems, I don't believe. So they are all now as clean as possible. So I'm going to take this now outside, degrease it, start applying some of the rust treatment to some of these rusty areas. I can't remember how long this stuff has to be left. I think it's an hour. You can see how much grime is on here. I've got some rubber and all sorts of stuff on it, so it really does need a really good clean first. Right, so we've got pressure washer set up. I've got myself some diluted multi-purpose cleaners, just like a citrus cleaner. I can't remember the brand, but let it sit for a couple of minutes. Grab my Yumcars wheel brush, because it's pretty much the only brush I've really got, and I'm just going to scrub it all down, and then we'll pressure wash it off until I'm satisfied with how clean it is. Right, as you can see, she's all nice and clean. I've now got to wait for this to bloom and dry though. I might get the heat gun out and just speed the process along. But it's quite warm out here, so it shouldn't take too long to drip dry. Maybe I'll give it half an hour, see where we're at, and then just give it a helping hand if it needs it later on. But I've got rid of all the grease. There's quite a bit of build up of dirt, and I don't even know what was on it. Oil and brake fluid probably. All built up over it. It's all now nice and clean, ready to be treated. Right, here it is, back in the shed once again. I feel like I'm in out with this bloody thing. Right, it's all clean now. You can see the surface looks pretty good. It's been wire brushed, it's been degreased. It's now ready for the vac tan. I've got myself a little tray to put it in, because everyone moaned at me last time for using it from the bottle. Got myself a couple of brushes as well, just to get in the crevices, the small one and the big one. And we have ourselves our vac tan. Now, if you didn't watch the last video where I used this on something, can't remember what it was, but I used this before and it was really good. It's sort of industrial grade, so it works really well. You put it on, leave it for about 45 minutes to an hour depending on how hot it is. Once it sets off, it then primes itself, so you don't have to put any primer on. You can just go over it straight with any paint or undercoat or whatever you are putting on top of it, and it won't react and it will seal itself. So it's really good stuff. You literally just paint it on with a brush and away you go. It's been a while, so this one's all separated. You can see it's two different colours, so I need to give it a really good shake up just to get it all back as it was. We'll pour a little bit in our little container, and I'm just going to start brushing it on. I've got myself some gloves on and some glasses because you can never be too careful with stuff like this, and I'm literally just going to go around the edges and on bits like this where you can see the rust, paint it on. Just a thin coating is all it needs, and it should convert this. This is what it does. If you've never seen this stuff before, it should convert it back to metal essentially. Right, so I've done the, I guess this is the top side of it. Yeah, it is the top side. I've done the top side, and you can see where I've put it. So it kind of turns like a purple colour when you first put it on, and then it will change colour as it dries. I've just basically touched up all the worst parts around the edge, because that seems to be where the rust is. A few bits around here, a bit in the middle as well. I'm not going crazy and like making this like a perfect job. But as the biggest pieces of rust is what I'm kind of tackling. Most of it is on the back side and the bottom side, because obviously that's where the salt and the water gets flicked up to the most. I'm going to let this dry, give it about half an hour. I'm going to go have my tea, and then come back out, do the bottom side, give that half an hour, and then fingers crossed tonight, hopefully there's enough light that I can get this in paint as well. Here we go, this is the bottom side. You can see just how much more rusty this bottom side is. So this is going to take a little bit more Vactan than the other side, but I'm going to crack on and get this done. Right, so as you can see there, rust treatment is on. The Vactan, I pretty much coated the bottom half because it was so rusty. While I was there, I figured I might as well just do the whole lot. So I've coated the whole bottom side. That should now cure in about 45 minutes to an hour. It's pretty warm out here, so it should cure pretty quick. Like I said, gonna go in, have my tea, come back out, and hopefully this will all be done to the point where we can start spraying then. Right, so it's been a couple of hours now and we're ready to paint. I've got the subframe hung up here on my boxing bag rig thing. I've just suspended it by a couple of ropes. I've got my tin of tough black paint, gone for a satin finish. Not that you'll see it, so it doesn't really matter. This is currently, after having the Vactan treatment, how the subframe looks. I know some people will be interested to see sort of what kind of finish it's given. You can see a lot of the rust has been treated. I didn't really put it on these very much. It was more on the actual subframe, because these may be changed in the future. You never know, the bushings go, you just change the arm, so I weren't really too worried about them. I was trying to focus more on the actual subframe itself, and you can see, compared to how it did look, for the most part, it's way better than it was. As I said, this is not a restoration. I'm not going for perfection. I just want to give it a little bit of protection so that when I put it back on, it'll last a little while longer, basically. So I'm going to give it a couple of coats of the tough paint. As I said, the Vactan self-primes, so it acts as a primer, so you can spray straight over it and not have any problems. I'm not going to mask anything up either. I'm not worried about getting it on anything. If I need to clean out the bores of the things afterwards, I'll do that with a wire wheel. Not particularly bothered about it, so I'm just going to crack on, give this thing a coat, both sides, and yeah, I'll show you what it looks like afterwards. Right, so the subframe's now had a few coats. I'm not really entirely sure how many. I just kind of kept spraying it and spraying it and spraying it until the can was empty. I've used one can, done the whole thing, so I've got one spare for a future project, which is good. I am so happy with how this looks right now. It literally, I don't know if the camera will pick up how good it looks, but it looks like a brand new subframe. It looks incredible. It was so nice being able to spray paint and not have to worry about the finish, because although I don't really want any runs in it, this is going to be underneath the car, no one's going to see it. The surface itself is not perfect anyway. There's welding and rust and stuff on it, so not too worried about the finish. So I was able to just spray and be a little bit more careless with my strokes, which was nice. I'll just show you the other side. This is what it looks like. All covered, not a single piece of rust to the eye anymore. Completely covered. It's sort of glossy now, but it will dry in like a satin finish. Comes out gloss and then dries in a little bit more matte than what this is. But like I said, incredibly happy with how that's turned out. I painted these arms as well, just because I had the can there and they look fantastic. So it's probably as much as I'm going to be able to do on this thing this evening, because I'm going to let this cure until tomorrow morning. I don't really want to touch it. This paint does take a while to dry. This only downside to it, it covers really well. It stays on the part really well, like it won't chip off, but it does take a while to dry. That's the only problem. So I'm going to give this 24 hours. It's going to be a nice warm night, so it should be done in the morning, which is when we can put our polybushes in once and for all, and then this thing will be pretty much finished, apart from the sway bar, which is something I'm going to do off camera because it's going to take me a little while to do. Basically just needs to have the same treatment as what this did: derusted, treated, painted, and then put back onto this once I get round to it. So I'll catch you guys back here in the morning, and we'll put the polybushes back in the subframe. Right, so it's been about 24 hours now since I painted the subframe. It's been hanging out there for the past day in the sun. We had a really nice hot day today, so it cured it lovely. And it looks like this now. Completely black. I'm very, very happy with the outcome and how it now looks. You guys saw it before I treated it and painted it. And it looks a lot better. Like I said, this is not a restoration job. This does not have to be perfect. I just wanted to try and preserve this thing. Whilst I had it out, I figured it's smart to preserve it, just so that it will last me at least a few years longer. I painted all the arms, as you can see. They're all black, all black. The other side looks exactly the same. I'm not going to bother to show you that now. But we finally, after all this work, moving on to putting the polybushes in. I've got myself some red rubber grease. I bought this because I know this is probably the best stuff for this job. I just bought a whole tin of it. I'm going to put some red rubber grease inside where the bushings go, in there. I'm also going to smear it all around this, and I'm going to attempt, at least for the first one, because they're not awfully tight, although I may be surprised. I'm going to try and push them in by hand first once they're all greased up. If not, I've got my tool that I use to press out the old ones over here. I've got the tool that I can push these in with that if I need that. We're going to see how we go first, trying to use a hammer and stuff like that. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and install these polybushes. They just go in from the back this way. Just going to smear some of this around the inside of where this bushing's going to go. Just give it a little nice little layer. Just going to add a little bit as well to the actual bushing, just to give me the best chance of getting this thing in. Alright, let's see if my strength and the grease is going to be a good enough combination to get this to go in. Started. Oh god, that's tough though. Oh, I think we're in. Oh, would you look at that? I did not expect it to go in that easy, I'll be completely honest. But the grease and my just brute strength managed to get it in. Right, I'm going to crack on and do the rest, the other three, and I'll bring you back in once I'm done. Whew. Right, so I've got all four bushings completely seated now. I don't know if you could see through the footage. I was trying to show you. Once you push them through the bottom end, so this is the top, I pushed them through from the bottom, and they pop out up here, but they don't fully pop out. They sort of come out a few mil, but you need to get this lip to pop out as well. I don't know if you can really see that around there. I probably should have showed you. The best way I found to do it was to use a small little screwdriver, tiny little flat blade. You go in between where the bushing is and the metal outer. You go in like that and then sort of lever it up, flick it up, and then it pops over the edge. You'll know if you're doing it, you'll see exactly what I mean, but little flat blade screwdriver is all you need. Just pop them out and they are now fully in there. Only thing left to do is just to insert these little metal sleeves. They go in the inside like so. Again, going to grease them up, push them in, should be able to do that by hand, and they will be fully installed into the subframe. I love how they look. They look really good against the nice satin black that we've done. These nice bright oranges. Not that you're going to see them anyway, but they do look nice, and they're going to last longer than what the car will. The car will rot out before these bushings rot out, for sure. Now I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that these little washers that also come with the bushings, I'm sure they sit on top like so, because you wouldn't want that bushing sitting directly against the car, I don't believe. You want some sort of metal in there so it doesn't sort of rub away at it. I believe they go on top. It would make sense because they're exactly the same size as what the bushing is on top, and then the bolts on the bottom have already got, they've already got like a washer on the bottom, so I don't think you'd need another washer on the bottom, which is pretty much exactly the same size. Again, grease is going to be our best friend for this. Just going to put a tiny bit just on the be able to manoeuvre this in with any luck. It's a really tight fit in there.
Yeah, boy.
Now that's greased up, it's bloody slippery, isn't it? So this is how I found the best way to get these sleeves in. Just another little pro tip. Got a pair of pliers here, and I'm going to push it in like so, and then wiggle my way in, and just pretend basically the pliers are my fingers. I was finding it really hard to grip it with these gloves on, and the grease and everything like that, and it was digging into my hand, and it was really hurting. And you get a lot more leverage with these once you start pushing it in, because you've got this extra long grip. You can lever it in a lot easier, and I managed to get that one in pretty much no problem. So I'm going to show you me doing the same on this one, just to give you an idea. You have to start at an angle like so, and then once you get that in, you can sort of bend it up and push the rest of it in. God, these are tricky. There we go. So started in there now. You really have to put your body weight on it as well. These are tough to get in. I don't know how you do that without a pair of pliers. It's a nightmare. And then I'm literally just going to use like a soft mallet and just whack it all the way down, but that's nice and noisy. Ta-da! Right, well there we have it. That is the polybushes for the subframe completely installed with metal sleeves as well. I just now did these two right here, very happy with them. I definitely recommend using this red rubber grease. I didn't have any until recently, but I picked this up because I know that on rubber bushings and even on poly bushings, this rubber grease is really good because it's silicone based, and so it's not going to deteriorate the rubber at all. If you use a general grease, like I've got these tins here, just like general grease there, some of them do have sort of petroleum and stuff in them, and it can eat away at the rubber, so I'm told. So make sure you get like a silicone grease just to be safe. Better to be safe than sorry. You don't want to have to do this again. It is a bit of a ball ache of a job. So with those now in, I'm going to end this video here. I've still got the anti-roll bar to do. Once it's back on there with the bushings and it's all painted and stuff, I'll show you that maybe in the next video or something. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. This is my first time ever doing polybushes, so it's definitely been a learning process. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. It helps my channel to grow. If you want to help support the channel at all, I've got merchandise and stuff. The links will be down below. That is it from me today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.